ready?
Yeah.
Yes! This is the Ross Kaminsky Show.
You're a great American.
Now, Ross Kaminsky.
Come on, man.
On Denver's talk station, 630 K-HOW.
Good morning, I'm Ross. Thanks so much for being with me on this difficult morning. Obviously, we know what the main or close to only topic for the day is, but we got a lot of aspects to what happened in Boulder that we need to talk about. I'm going to mostly avoid getting drawn into any of the usual immediate political stuff that too many people like to do. I'm just not going to be doing that much today. One thing I would like to start with is to note the name of the police officer who lost his life yesterday, one of the first people on the scene at the King Soopers in Boulder on Table Mesa Drive, where I have shopped dozens of times when we lived up in Boulder County. We got friends all around that area. Anyway, police officer Eric Talley, Talley, was one of 10 people who died at the King Soopers yesterday. He's the father of 7 children, 7, the youngest being 7 years old. His dad said, the officer's dad said, he loved his kids and family more than anything. He was looking for a job to keep himself off the front lines, was learning to be a drone operator. He didn't want to put his family through something like this. And he believed in Jesus Christ, according to the statement from Officer Talley's father, whose name is Homer Talley. There's a fund up in Boulder that I believe is run through the county called the Boulder County Injured and Fallen Officer Fund. You can find that if you want to make a donation. I'll be doing that a little bit later today. What do you say about this? I was talking with my wife about it yesterday. She always has insightful things to say and think. And one of the things that struck her, which of course I think is something that goes through our minds almost every time that we go through something like this, and it may be worth talking about why we seem to have so many of them in Colorado. I wish I had a good answer for that, but I don't. But one of the things that you think, whether it's at a movie theater or at a school or at a supermarket, is how it leaves you feeling so vulnerable just as an ordinary person out doing your day, doing the things you normally do during a day. As my wife said, you could have been out picking up a bunch of bananas or a gallon of milk. You didn't think you were walking into a war zone or even a dangerous neighborhood. I mean, for crying out loud, it's South Boulder. And let me just say, as we go through some of this today, I can't promise you that my thoughts are going to be exceptionally organized or even all that clear today. I do want to know what you think about any aspect of this, and I'm getting my little text app going here, so you can text me at 57739, and please include the word Ross in your text. And you can tell me anything you want to tell me about how you're feeling today and what you're thinking today. And you can tell me any aspect of it. Just because I'm not going to get particularly political on the air today doesn't mean you can't tell me something political if you want to, but that's not really where I'd like the focus to be. One of my radio colleagues sent out a tweet this morning saying, what do we do? More gun control? More armed civilians? Good guys? And I said, without really putting a ton of thought into it, I said no and yes, right? So I don't think more so-called gun control would make a difference. I really don't. I'm not saying that out of, I'm not saying that only out of a principled position regarding the Second Amendment and all that, which is something we can talk about another day. I just simply think that that kind of policy is never shown to be very helpful. More armed civilians, armed good guys. Yeah, probably helps a little. A little. Only not that much. You know, if someone is deranged enough to do what that man did yesterday, are you really going to dissuade him by saying, by reminding him that, you know, there might be an armed good guy around him? Doubt it. Could an armed good guy stop someone like that sooner? Maybe. Maybe. Although really, if you're not in law enforcement, generally your training would be don't get into a gunfight if you don't have to. And I don't know how many armed good guys would go look for and usually armed good guy, by the way, would have a handgun. So I don't know how many armed good guys would go looking to have a shootout with an armed bad guy with a rifle. I don't know. I still think that so much of this comes down to mental health and to keeping an eye on, and I don't mean this like in a creepy Orwellian surveillance state kind of way, but in a loving way, noting if someone that you live with, someone you're related to, someone you're close to is maybe having a very difficult time psychologically. And I don't just mean a little difficult, oh, I'm having a bad day, right? I mean, is someone having an unusually difficult getting toward a breaking point kind of time frame where maybe you could try to get them some help. Try to separate them, preferably voluntarily. I'm not talking about red flag and all that stuff. I haven't been as dead set against the concept of a red flag law as a lot of other people have been, although I was very much against the particular implementation here in Colorado. Fortunately, it seems like it hasn't been used very much. Anyway, if someone I cared about, whether I was related to them or not, was having a really, really difficult time, and I felt like they were, you know, drifting towards a real break, not just I'm depressed, right? Not just I'm having a life crisis and I need to go meditate on a mountain for a month. Not like that, but like a real psychological, psychiatric break. Not that I am in any way even qualified to begin to make that determination, but at least if I saw someone really, really struggling, I might look for a way to say to them, you know, maybe there's someone you could talk to. I'm not saying that's an easy conversation either. I mean, especially like, what if it's a friend of yours? What if it's a guy and a guy friend? Guys don't really talk to other guys that way. Like, hey, do you need some help? It just really doesn't happen that way. But I don't have a much better answer. Do I think gun control would make a difference? No. Do I think more armed good guys would make a difference? maybe a very, very little bit, which is better than nothing. Better than nothing, but you going to count on that? I don't know. I think part of what makes these things so difficult is that it's just so hard to think that any one answer or any combination of answers is likely to make an important difference. I mean, seriously, put aside whether you're a, very pro Second Amendment, whatever, whether you hate guns, you're a liberal who literally starts shaking when you see a gun. I've met those people. I know those people. I taught one to shoot. Put aside your political biases and ask, is any of this really going to make a difference? Or is it just something we're going to be living with forever? Forever. And I wish I had a better answer. I want to share something with you. A listener yesterday sent me a link to a website, I think it was heavy.com, that had some of the scanner traffic from Boulder Police yesterday early in this event. And what I did was I took, I don't remember just how long it was, 10 to 15 minutes somewhere in there of scanner traffic. And I did some editing because there are very long periods of silence. And then there are some bits of communication that are not very important. So I took maybe, 12 minutes, and I edited it down to about 3 minutes. Again, cutting out a lot of silence and cutting out a few bits of radio contact between the units that were either on scene or heading to the scene and dispatch. I will say, though, the woman who you hear who is, at dispatch, at the command center, taking these incoming calls and routing things and doing things, boy, did she keep cool. Remarkable. Like to know her name so I can thank her on the air. If anybody knows her name, you can email it to me at ross@khow.com, assuming it's information I'm allowed to have, or you can text it to me at 57739. I'd like to say thank you. But so I spent some time last night doing this so I could share it with you, and it gives you a feel of what law enforcement was going through. I may pause at one point or another in this if I think that there's something that was said that might not be that easy to understand on the radio, but let's have a listen.
4 and 295 are making entry. Units full traffic.
So far, I got another party down just inside the doors.
Copy. Party down inside door.
2-4 shooter is inside. He just shot at us twice.
Copy. Active shooter inside. Shot at them twice.
136, go ahead and initiate a full SWAT call out.
Full SWAT call out.
136, everybody arriving needs to armor up.
All units armor up. Copy. And again, units, they believe this party has body armor on. If one reports that the party has an AK.
Officer down inside the building.
Copy. I have officer down inside the building. Location.
Inside the front doors, east side.
Copy. Inside front doors, northeast side. 136.
136, we're in a gunfight. Hold the radio.
I don't know if you heard that 136, that'd be the police unit. We're in a gunfight. Hold the radio. Just before that, again, very, very early in what happened yesterday, was the announcement that somebody down, an officer down inside the front doors.
Copy. 1 and come.
136, I got 5 people to contact him at the front door. Shots are being fired. I want full radio discipline until we advise otherwise.
Copy. 213, I'm on arrival on the back door.
136, still multiple shots being fired at us. It does not sound like an AK.
Okay, 136, I just got another civilian report of possible 3 gunmen. I don't have locations yet.
Let me just pause there for a second. That's really a tremendous example of the fog of war kind of thing, right? In the middle of this, they get a report from a civilian around there of 3 gunmen. Now, there was only one. And, of course, if there's gunfire indoors, even if it's from just one gun, but obviously if there's police shooting back, somebody could think, based on echoes off the walls, that there is more than one gunman. And that's a really scary thing. Now, all of a sudden, you've got police who I'm sure are looking. They don't know how many there are. They're going to be on the lookout for multiple shooters anyway, just to protect themselves. But talk about adding to that fog of war.
Hi, copy. We're taking multiple rounds.
Copy.
136.
136.
We have rounds both directions. Break.
Both directions. Go ahead.
So far, potentially one gunman armed with a long gun, potentially near the back of the store. We can get some officers to set up in the rear.
I got 213 at the rear so far.
Have been notified county. Have them rolled a Bearcat. I want the Bearcat to go to the rear.
I got multiple units. 136 Bearcat from county to the rear. Other unit.
April, let's get a helicopter coordinated or 2 with county. We have multiple people down, or with the FD, we have multiple people down. We're going to need to airlift some people out of here.
36, that's, hey, I need to confirm you may need more than one helicopter.
Multiple people down. So far, one officer down. Unknown status. We can't get to him.
So that officer is calling for multiple medevac helicopters, saying there's multiple people down. One is a police officer of unknown status because they can't get to him.
Copy. Multiple coppers at Fortune 41.
Shields. We need shields from that Teradyne. Get them up here. We got to do an officer rescue.
Second entry team ready at main entrance. Copy. Flannel shirt, khaki pants. Armed with a long automatic weapon. And tac vest. Tac vest. Copy. Flannel shirt, khaki pants. Armed with a long automatic weapon. And tac vest. Tac vest.
Wow. That's just some of what happened yesterday. Going to hit a short break here. We're going to come back and change subjects a little bit, but still on an issue of pressing importance to the United States.
This is Denver's Talk Station with Ross Kaminsky now. Tom Martino at 10, 630 KHOW, Denver. Now, Impact